Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts for change, pioneers in their fields, the change makers, the trailblazers, performers and influencers, driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging the talent shortages across organizations of various scales. Building cause-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for the people, planet, and prosperity. In every industry, women are shattering barriers and strive to create a space where they can exhibit their achievements and motivate other women to unleash their limitless potential. We encourage collaboration, networking, and knowledge sharing among women. Let's inspire and learn from one another while sharing our valuable experiences. Thank you for joining us and listening to this episode. Welcome to another episode of podcast Women of Power. Women of Power podcast is a platform for passionate and influential women who are catalysts of change, pioneers of their field, the change makers, the trailblazers, performers and influencers, and driven entrepreneurs and professionals. They play a vital role in driving economic growth and bridging talent shortages across organizations in various scales. Building causes-based businesses to create positive impact in their communities and towards sustainable goals for people, planet, and the prosperity. Today, I have an amazing young lady doing amazing work. I can't wait to introduce and talk to her. It was just an honor to meet her and just to learn about her passionate projects and everything that she has been creating in her space. So let's introduce her. My guest is a space research professional. Victoria Valdivia Cerda is political scientist from Chile. She holds a Magister degree in international relations. Victoria, she has worked in as a space policy advisor, contributing to the formation of Chile's defense whitepaper in 2017 and the national defense policy in 2020. What an accomplishment. Currently, she is a global fellow at the European Space Policy Institute and lecturer on space policies at the National Academy of Strategic and Politic Study, the Ministry of Defense in Chile. My goodness, wow, what an impressive resume you have. And as a volunteer, she has served as a mentor at the Initiative of Space for Women. She's the National Coordinator of WSW. Let's ask her what does that stand for. And she's the chair for Chile G100 Space and Technology Wing. Wow. Let's bring you here, Victoria. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, Ritu. Thank you so much for this amazing space, for sharing this message about the space, and obviously for inviting me. I'm doing well. It's been a very hard winter here in the South Hemisphere. So I have a little cold today, but I'm super excited to be here with you, sharing my history, and why not inspiring to young generations to follow their dreams and to reaching goals in outer space activities.
My goodness, it's not every day you come across women in space research or women in space professional. So it's very uncommon. How how have you developed your career? How did you get into the space research or in this field?
Well, it is a funny history as well, because I started my journey as political scientist. So when I started to study political science, I never imagined that I will become into a space policy analyst in the future. And no, I never imagined that I will be, in the General Assembly of the United Nations discussing and debating the future of outer space activities on
Wow.
behalf of all the humankind. So I can summarize that I started with this idea during my master degree. And of course, it's not coming from the nothing. I mean, my daddy used to inspire me and to pursue me to follow my dreams. So when I was a little child, my daddy taught me to naming the star. To We used to
Mm,
stargaze stars in the countryside of Chile. So he was always inspiring me to study astronomy, because since my childhood I was very connected with astronomy field and very in love with astronomy science. So he was always encouraging me to follow my dream. But sadly for
mm.
me, I'm not good enough in science. I mean, I have a really issue with maths, but I found this way to mix in my abilities as political science with my passion on astronomy. So suddenly I started to researching on how the policymakers could improve the access to science, to
Aha.
astronomy. And from this, I developed a research that, luckily for my side, was the first one on its category in Latin America. And I take the challenge to exploring how a strategic planning from the states could improve access to science, to STEM from people, and how this knowledge could improve the life of people in developing regions. So that was the very beginning of my career. And after that, I realized to move into the Air Force as a civilian servant, and I
Wow.
proposed them a project on developing space capabilities for Chile in this case. And my task was always relating on creating this bridge, this communicational bridge between policymakers and technicians, in this case the Air Force, as space
Mhm.
operators for the Chilean satellite. And from there, I basically we're always around this kind of subject on strategic planning and developing of space capabilities, space diplomacy, and currently on the research on the merger between Antarctic and outer space activities.
So you really expanded your wings, not only in the space, but in a defense where both areas. Usually these fields are not as open to women. I mean, they're opening up. Of course, women have to do their own part, and but to be to be leading such projects, this is such an achievement, and I salute you. You're an inspiration to so many young women. That is outstanding.
Yeah, well, it has been a very challenging time. I mean, to being a young woman inside the army forces, in this case the Air Force, in the beginning,
Mhm.
has been a little hard, but I was not being alone, because during my first year I always have the support of my boss in those time. Was a general, an amazing person. General Peña was always supporting me and validating my work. That was very important, because I mean, I was under the 30s during my tenure in the Air Force, speaking one by one with the second man of the Air Force,
Oh,
and breaking the structures in a little sense, because I mean, young women, civilian, under 30s, speaking about outer space and how the Air Force might be involved with outer space capabilities at the national level was something that is not very common. But
No.
I was, yeah, I'm very proud of this because my my idea was opening new paths for future college, so more civilians will be involved with army forces and strengthening the collaboration between militaries and civilians in order to reach national goals, to reach solutions for the life of people, and to improve the safety and security in this case of our national community.
Yes, it is. It is a uncommon and a very fortunate opportunity. Inspiration that besides what you had shared, to expand in particular areas that you have gotten into.
Yes, of course. Well, as I told you, my first inspiration is my daddy because he
Mm.
and give me the courage and inspired me to be brave enough to keep moving forward. That is the main phrase that I remember from my dad, who sadly passed away the last year. But beside my daddy, well, of course, there is this boss, my first boss, the General Eduardo Peña. He was like my mentor inside the Air Force, teaching me all the manners, the accurate behaviors inside the Air Force, and also bringing me to flying. I have flied with him and was amazing, sharing with new opportunities because I really love some kind of sports such as parachuters and that
Ah,
kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it a lot. But I must say, with a strong voice, that Shelley Brunswick has been always my inspirational leader.
wow.
Shelley, I met Shelley when I was in the Air Force during a space conference held here in Chile. And when I met Shelley, I realized that it's possible to be a woman in space activities, contributing with the military side, creating new opportunities for everyone and sharing, but also being humble, keeping humble all the time.
Yes.
So I really admire Shelley. I hope to be capable in the future to do the amazing thing that she is currently doing, inspiring people and sharing with all. So during all my career, I have the lucky to say that Shelley has always been at my side, supporting me, inspiring me, guiding me. And for me, as a young space professional, it has been so important. Finally, but not less important, I can name to Armengol Torres. He's a space consultant in Spain.
Mm.
And Armengol, he opened the doors of the World Space Week Association for me when I was 24 years old. And since the beginning, Armengol believed in my work. He was always supporting every single idea that I have presented to this NGO. And jointly, we have reached some amazing milestones, such as the first Antarctic space event held during the World Space Week the last year in
Mhm.
the Chilean Antarctic territory. So was the southern activity in the during all the week. But also we reached the Easter Island in 2019.
Mhm.
Uh, connecting kids from Easter Island with the World Space Week celebrations. That is a worldwide celebration, so it was really amazing for kids from Rapa Nui people. Rapa Nui is a First Nation here in Chile, so for us it's very important to say we are present in space activities, but also our First Nation is present too because they have a history to tell, they have myths, legends, and cultural aspect to be highlighted during the next step on the space activities of the humankind.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm going to come back to the Antarctic activities. I want to ask you one more question before we get there is that as it's a very uncommon field for women, both in the Defense Air Force and space. And as a young woman in a space profession, what kind of challenges you faced?
Yeah, that is a good question, in fact, because of course, when I talk about my path and my journey, I used to highlight just the funny facts and the happy stories behind that. But this journey has not been absent of challenges. I have two or three biggest ones, and I think that is important to talk about them. The first one, I faced gender issues during my tenure in the Air Force, and it was very hard for me because I was more likely to be working on collaborative ways, no matter if you are a woman or a man, no matter if you are civilian or military, and no matter your born condition, because I mean your how you look, your nationality, your languages, for me, is not a boundary. When someone is talented, it's all about the talent and not about where you were from. So sadly, I faced this kind of situation moving at the work, and I spent a very bad time during those dark times because I realized that no matter how how good our work could be, no matter how how our goals will be improving the life for others, sometimes there are people that just not could support the idea of that someone is brilliant, someone is being happy. But even in those dark times, I took this experience. I took this bad experience with someone inside this job, and I decided to transform my bad experience, my pain, and including my depression, because I faced a depression on those times, into something good for everyone. So, and this time I was mentor at the Space for Women initiative. It's very funny because the Space for Women is just for preventing the rising of this kind of behaviors and this kind of gender issues inside the space industry. So when I was a mentor, I was facing in first person the meaning of the gender issues coming inside the space industry. But I took my experience and I decided to supporting other space professionals in my region facing same challenges.
Wow.
And we create a community of women on space in Latin America. And I'm very proud of this because we created a good community, a supportive community among comrades and among colleagues, and a safe a safe space to talk about this kind of issues that maybe are impacting your life, just you being a woman, but also creating side effects inside your family. Moreover, if you are a mother, for example, that was my case. And the second challenge that I faced that was also during my tenure in the Air Force uh, was an air crash, an accident that we faced on 2019. And sadly, in this accident, I lost a dear friend of mine, Claudia. She was an amazing professional taking care of Antarctic and exploiting all his amazing knowledge on space analysis, the exploitment of satellites to conducting space analysis and taking care of Antarctic environment. So it was very hard for me to lose her because she was not the only one, but one of my girls inside the Air Force. We and after her loss, I realized that, well, for now, I will have double task to conduct it in the future. One for me, but one for her, in order to complete all the kind of project that we imagined together.
Mhm.
And I feel that now I must complete on behalf of her, on behalf of the memory of Claudia. And also I adopted this new task of preserving her memory, because she was amazing, and she died conducting his task. She died traveling to Antarctic, where she will be taking care about the environment of Antarctic. And that was very important, not only for us in the present, but also for the future generations. So
What a
this, yeah, these
very
two,
tragic loss. Yes.
yeah, these two very strong experience sharpening in some way my character too, and teach me powerful lessons about how to creating networks could support us and support our work, but also how important is to preserve the memory and to keep supporting the work of colleagues, particularly women's, even beyond the death.
That is such a remarkable um, journey, and with the bittersweet experiences of having challenges as a woman, but pursuing, overcoming that, creating a community, and then loss of a friend, um, and a support, and doing something for her memory. I am amazed to hear your story. I think more people should have this type of courage, um, in pursue. Now, I want to just add that women in any type of leadership roles, or you know, rising to careers, especially the areas that they are not open for women, armed forces, etc. Now, women have been in every field. It's challenging. Let's accept this as challenging. Things may be changing, but they haven't really been, um, uh, I would say, a good support system for women. But people like you who still feel like that there's no bitterness about the experience, and you're still thinking of the future of the coming generation and doing something worthwhile. This is remarkable. I am so sorry for your loss of your friend, uh, but I want to come to now positive side. You talked about so passionately, about the Antarctic activities and educating coastal communities about the environment. Let's talk about it a little bit. Tell me, how did
Yeah.
you get into it? What what led to your passion in this area, and what type of challenges you see, and what kind of a big picture you see?
Yeah, well, Antarctic is also a passion for me. Um, I discovered Antarctic due to some, in fact, due to the issue regarding the gender subject that I told you.
Mhm,
Uh, when I was in this big trouble,
mhm,
uh, I was relocated into an Antarctic division. So
uh-huh,
I learned a lot about Antarctic, and I spent a wonderful time, because I have a team inside the Antarctic division of the Air Force. They teach me a lot about this continent. People used to miss that Antarctic is a whole continent. It's a continent full of opportunities, natural resources,
mhm,
land, and spaces open for everyone. But Antarctic is also a special area, and special international regulated area, and contains an special international governances. In this sense, Antarctic is a peace continent. It's not allowed to conduct military offensives operation inside Antarctic. Weapons are not allowed inside Antarctic. And Antarctic is regulated by an international treaty that said that every single activity being conducted in Antarctic must be for scientific purposes and peaceful purposes. So when I realized that, I say, I have read it the same statement before. And of course I have, because the Antarctic Treaty is just the same document that the Outer Space Treaty. So I feel that I was a little connected with Antarctic from the outer space activities. And then I realized that Antarctic has a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of special characteristics regarding geographic high latitude, the interoceanic connections surrounding Antarctic. But sadly, there's a amazing environment. It's not free of some hazards coming from outer space. I'm not talking about aliens, but I'm talking about space debris.
Okay.
You see, the rising space activities of humankind is polluting the low Earth orbit. So everyone is talking about space sustainability in outer space, but nobody's taking care about what is happening when this debris, this space junk, is re-entering into the Earth. Well, you will see. This junk will go straight and directly into the Point Nemo. And the Point Nemo is like the house where the circumpolar current of Antarctic begins. So, in a deep sense, every single space debris being going to accumulate into the ocean in this very, very far away area is impacting over Antarctic environment. So, in a world that is more more instability, more volatile, with a rising conflict among states, sadly, with a weakness on multilateral systems, to preserve the strategic areas such as is Antarctic, and to preventing the rising of the war in Antarctic is a key point for the future of humankind. If we want to preserve our house, thinking about the earth as a house, we must taking care of critical areas. And Antarctic is regulating the worldwide climate. Everything happening in Antarctic right now will have an impact, a direct impact on the weather in a worldwide perspective. For example, at the beginning of this conversation, I told you that now here in Chile is winter and it's being very, very hard. Well, you will see, we are in this moment, under a polar current. And this means that this winter is being coldest than maybe, it's the coldest winter in the 40 years.
Oh, wow.
More. It's been a lot of rain. Several weeks ago, we faced a storm level 5. It's something huge. A lot of people being impacted. But in the same time, in the northern hemisphere, I realized that you are having a highest temperatures. So something is happening in the earth as a system with this associated phenomena to climate change. Well, the answers for the solutions and to adopting preventive measures to improve societal resilience in this kind of phenomena relies on Antarctic activities. So we need to stress and to improve scientific activities being conducted on Antarctic.
For ordinary people, layman people, let me put my question for understanding of someone who doesn't really believe in climate crises, etc. So the space debris accumulating in Antarctic Ocean. Well, any space debris as a common sense. I'm not an expert at all in this matter, but there's a lot of contaminants, right? So coming in our ocean. So my common sense, okay, is going to impact those contaminants, impact the ecosystem of the ocean,
Yeah, that's right.
right? Sea life or whatever organism is growing in that part of the ocean. So then you talked about extreme weathers. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there would be skeptical of connecting the dots and things. But for as a scientist, as a researcher, this is very important for the scientific community.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because if you change anything inside the system regarding the connection of oceans, the interoceanic connections, you will be impacting the worldwide oceanic system. I mean, more space young, thinking about hydrogen, heavy metals, microplastics, among others, begin accumulate into this current will be impacting on the sea life, right? For
Yes.
example, less or more acid environment, killing fishes
Yeah.
and impacting over the anthropogenic chain, and but also this junk will be moving around the oceans. It will not remain just in
Yeah.
Antarctic. So
Yes.
they will be affecting coastal societies such as Motunui.
And that's
Motunui,
what's leading you into that education of the, okay,
exactly.
wow, now I understand your passion.
To educate to kids, particularly from the first area being impacted by the space debris. I'm looking to reach to community of Punta Arenas because Punta Arenas is the nearest city to Antarctic from the Chilean side, but
How big
also with
is the population? Population wise, how many
no,
people?
the population is a very low populated area. We have around 1 or 2 inhabitants per I'm not sure, but the density is around 0.75%. It's not a so populated area, but we have communities in this territory. And the life of these communities depends intensively of the oceanic activities, and also they are dependent on keeping a peaceful area. I mean, Punta Arenas, particularly due to its connection with Antarctic, holds logistical infrastructure to support scientific mission on Antarctic, such as ports, airports, among others. So to keep a peaceful environment and a collaborative environment, it means for the population in Punta Arenas, for example, an intensive traffic of tourists linked with scientific mission going to Antarctic through Punta Arenas Gateway.
Okay.
If everything goes mad, and for example, in the worst of the case, we lost the peaceful uses of Antarctic, those
Yes.
facilities will be impacted, and through it, the economic activities of the people of Punta Arenas will be affected, impacting the life of the people and having maybe some aspect into humanitarian law. So it's to keep the peace and to educate on the peace and how will we facing the challenges of the future. It's mandatory to create the future generation of stakeholders, advisories, and experts talking about this kind of dynamics, but also finding solutions in a challenging times. And also in Rapa Nui Island, Easter Island, I talk about Motunui. Motunui is well, but most of people maybe will know about Motunui because Disney has a movie, Moana, and Moana belongs to Motunui. Well, it's the same island, okay, but we don't have Moana. But Motunui belongs to the system of Easter Island. Rapa Nui is a bigger one, and Motunui is an islet. And it's a very important point because Motunui contains the cultural heritage of Rapa Nui First Nation.
I
So,
see. I
for
see.
example, if the level of sea is rising, some places that are memorial places, cultural places, will disappear. But also, people of this island depends on fisheries, for example. So, a crescent level of pollution on the seas, microplastic again, this kind of space pollution, etc., will be impacting their access to food and economic activities. So impacting basically in their capability to reaching the development contents on the 2030 agenda.
I
So
see.
we need to improve their possibilities. And for that, in my vision, the first step is to improving education. It's the SDG number 4, number 5, I don't remember as
Yeah.
well. But we need
Clean
to,
water is number 6, but
yeah,
the 5,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but we need to improve their capability to getting knowledge on this very specific area and
Mm.
to transforming that knowledge into, for example, public policies, guidelines, norms, and giving to the people the opportunity to have the flexibility enough to be more flexibility in order to facing these challenges and to finding local solution for a worldwide problem.
Wow. There's a whole lot of um, intertwined connections, etc. But I really was inspired by when you had talked about the uh, Antarctic uh, people and the habitants in that region and educating them about the coastal communities. Um, I in a normal day, nobody would think about these things. So I can continue talking, but we're coming to the end of the call here. So I want to ask you, which message would like to share with future generations?
I want to share the same phrase that my daddy used to say to me.
Uh,
Keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. No matter what will happen, no matter if your day is going the worst day in your life,
mhm.
just keep moving forward because we'll never know how far away we can reach if we stop at our journey today. So if we want to discover something new, if we want to do something good for someone else or even for ourselves, we must keep trying. And keep trying means keep moving to the future. For that reason, my message is that keep moving forward. Don't be afraid of anything. There is nothing wrong with you. You have all the things that you need to reach your dreams and to contributing to to the humankind.
I think we need to repeat that, keep moving on. And as I talk about the challenges that the young people, younger generation faces today are very different than 2 generations before. So you have to have a fresh perspective. You have to give opportunities to young generation to excel and see from their perspective. And you have been such an amazing inspiration to a lot of, especially women in this space. So I wish you a lot of success in your projects, and I'm sure that we will revisit these conversations in future. But right now, I think this has been an amazing conversation. I just want to keep listening. What you had to share. Well, I wish you so much success in these projects, and I wish more women come forward into the careers and professions and bring in the fresh vision and bring in that kind of empathy and collaboration to keep moving forward, keep the message alive. Yes, yes. So it had been really a pleasure. And for our guest, wherever you are listening to, watching this podcast, please think about how important it is for all of us to do our part. Either your interests are mm, uh, to save the forests or save the oceans or do whatever you can. We all need to contribute a little bit what we can. And thank you for listening. This is your host, Ritu Chopra. Until next time.
Thank you, Ritu.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that information our guest has shared is helpful and you are taking away valuable tips and knowledge. We are committed to supporting women and building cause-driven businesses that create positive impact in their communities. Join us in the movement for change. Take action now and be part of Let's Come Together movement. Together, we can recognize, celebrate, and empower women who are making a difference in today's economy. Connect with passionate and powerful women, collaborate on cause-driven businesses, and build a better future for our